So you guys are being hunted by an army of mercenaries led by a genetically enhanced soldier.
Look at me. I'm Black Superman.
You're crazy.
Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw, henceforth just Hobbs and Shaw, is directed by former stuntman David Leitch, who, by the way, also directed John Wick, Atomic Blonde, and Deadpool 2, and is a spin-off from the Fast and the Furious franchise, thus the Fast and Furious presents nonsense. Hobbs and Shaw throws together two famously antagonistic characters, and coincidentally famous actors, from the Fast and Furious series, and hilarity ensues. So let's get the most obvious question out of the way. Can you watch Hobbs and Shaw without having seen the previous 8 Fast and Furious movies? Sure. Hobbs was first introduced in the Fast and Furious series back in Fast 5, and Shaw was introduced later in Fast and Furious 6 in an end credit scene. But nothing that happens in Hobbs and Shaw references any of that, save their mutual hostility, and this movie did a pretty good job painting that picture over the course of about 5 minutes. I have to say that Hobbs and Shaw, despite its Fast and Furious origins, doesn't really have the same feel that the series has become known for. Yes, there are a few ridiculous car chase scenes, but the Fast and Furious series has always made a point of showcasing the cars. Sure, Hobbs and Shaw puts the spotlight on a McLaren 720S for one scene, but that's pretty much it. Hobbs and Shaw, not surprisingly, considering its stars, is far more about the witty banter and fisticuffs. That said, much like its source, Hobbs and Shaw is one of those movies where, if you understand what you're getting into and you're able to just turn off your brain and enjoy the ride, you'll have fun with it. The chemistry between Johnson and Statham is great, and the aforementioned witty banter is quite funny and surprisingly constant. And the funny is enhanced by the surprise addition of 2 other characters, not in any previous Fast and Furious movies, that are super well known and used sparingly. They're listed as uncredited on IMDb, so you can find them if you want, but I won't spoil it for you. The bulk of the movie focuses on 5 main characters. There's Hobbs and Shaw, of course, Shaw's sister and the MacGuffin, Hattie, played by Vanessa Kirby, the main antagonist, Brixton, played by Idris Elba, and the Shaw matriarch, Queenie, reprised by Helen Mirren. Both Kirby and Elba are great picks to play alongside Johnson and Statham, as both are excellent at the whole action hero thing and definitely hold their own in instances where either Johnson or Statham could easily outshine lesser actors. Helen Mirren is used very little, both at the beginning and the end, as she's incarcerated for the whole movie, but it's Helen Mirren. She could just show up and stand there and she'd be fantastic. Considering what type of movie we're working with here, I'm not going to overthink it. It's a fun movie. The acting is good, the action is good, the plot is there, but just barely. I will say that even for a Fast and Furious movie, there were a couple of scenes that were so ridiculous and so over the top that it felt more like I was watching a video game than a movie. Plus, Brixton had this weird, quasi-sentient motorcycle transformer thing that was basically used to make him feel more unstoppable than he should have been. It was a little distracting. Oh, yeah, and the music choices for this movie were horrendous. Ugh. All in all, it was a fun ride. If you like the Fast and Furious movies, you'll most likely enjoy Hobbs and Shaw as well. I'm giving it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Take it for what it is, and just enjoy the ride. And that's my opinion. Thanks for tagging along, and I'll see you back here next week with another one.